Credevate che i contenuti su 𝚃𝙸𝙼𝙿 Deliverance 2 fossero finiti e invece salve a tutti cari sconosciuti, io sono Ferry, se preferite Melochi, e in questo video finalmente avremo l'intervista a 𝚃𝙸𝙼𝙿 che mi avevate chiesto in tantissimi. Ce l'ho fatta, finalmente ci sono riuscita. Per chi non lo sapesse, ma lo sapete, altrimenti non avreste cliccato sul video, si tratta dell'attore che ha interpretato Hans Capon in 𝚃𝙸𝙼𝙿 Deliverance 1 e soprattutto 𝚃𝙸𝙼𝙿 Deliverance 2, dove ha un ruolo molto più di spicco. Luke è stato gentilissimo a darmi il suo tempo, è stato anche molto paziente, ci sono stati dei problemi audio all'inizio ma abbiamo risolto, quindi tutto è andato per il verso giusto. Ma quindi cosa abbiamo chiesto a Hans Capon? La prima domanda ovviamente è stata la più classica di tutte, ovvero raccontare un po' della sua esperienza lavorativa, di sé.
So my name is 𝚃𝙸𝙼𝙿. I am an actor, streamer. I was a filmmaker. I'm not so much right now focusing on that, but that has been a big part of my life and probably will continue to be. So those three things really make up my my creative life and my career, and have defined me in many ways. And but other than that, I'm just a silly goose who who lives now in Prague. I lived in London for 13 years. Before that, lived in Sheffield. I have a great family, great friends, and the sun is shining. So I'm a happy bunny today.
Prague is a very beautiful city, so good choice.
Yeah.
Good choice.
Yeah. Well, I traveled a lot in the last few years, and I was always kind of comparing it wherever I was to Prague, because I knew I wanted to leave the UK, and I knew I had to. I was so unhappy in London, and I was like, right, I'm going to find somewhere. I'm not sure where it's going to be. And Prague, I was always comparing it because I spent a lot of time there. And I was like, is it better than Prague? Is it better than Prague? Is it better? And nothing ever was. And then, of course, I also had lots of friends here. So it just made sense. And it was genuinely the best decision I've ever made, because I'm definitely the happiest I've ever been. Getting here was incredibly difficult. The visa stuff and, moving, it's hard enough to move house, never mind country. And I've never tried anything like that before. It's very frustrating, but it's done and we're good.
Okay. It's way easier to go in the UK now, but let's not talk about politics, please. Si è poi passati a discutere le differenze fra un ruolo attoriale tradizionale e uno legato all'ambiente videoludico. È un po' una domanda retorica, però più che sapere l'ovvio, ovvero sì, chiaramente è diverso, mi interessava capire un attimo come lui si fosse approcciato a questo tipo di prestazione diversa.
Well, it's really in two halves, or maybe 70% is voiceover and 30% motion or performance capture, and that's completely different from working on in a play on stage, which had been mostly what I'd always envisaged my career would be. That was where, when I went to drama school, that's what they teach. That's really what they train you for. And also that was what I really saw myself doing. So I was obsessed with musicals and Shakespeare. And I really, really wanted desperately to be a theatre actor. It wasn't in the stars for many reasons. I think, it just didn't really click. Like, me in that world didn't really click. I tried very hard to get roles in theatre, and I did manage to get a few. But, me and the industry in general, me as an actor, I've never really clicked. I've always had to find other avenues and ways to support myself, and that's why I stopped completely many years ago. But that's a whole other story. And yeah, so no, to go to your point, it's a completely different medium, and it wasn't something I ever thought would come. I didn't even understand what performance capture really was. and I'd never done voiceover. Apart from, you make like a reel at drama school, you know, they help, I think they help you make like a voice reel. But that was really it. And so it's a completely different experience, and such a surprise when I'd left school.
I mean, putting on a suit with all the strange devices, the camera around your head, I never do something like that, but I believe it's very strange going from theater to a strange set with props that resembles horses and weapons. You have to work with your fantasy even more than in a classic role when you act, I believe. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the fundamental rule or law of what you're trying to do as an actor is to try and kind of create an environment where you believe what you're doing. Like, really try your best. Obviously, there's a suspension of disbelief because you're not really doing it.
Of course.
But get yourself into your nervous system and your mind into a place where you can replicate it and really engage in a scene and it feels real to you as best as you can. So when you put this suit on and the camera's there and you're in this strange room, it's just an added obstacle for you to overcome. And that, I've always said that, you know, the more that you do it, the more the less of an impediment that stuff is. At first, yes, very hard to get over that mentally, but eventually you do, and then you can hopefully do some good work, even though you've got this camera there and all that stuff.
Yeah, so I saw the motion capture trailer. It was hilarious seeing all these people with all this camera around their head doing strange stuff, throwing themselves around on mattresses. It was very funny. Un altro discorso molto interessante che è emerso durante l'intervista è stato il suo modo di vivere e far crescere ed evolvere il personaggio di Hans Capon nel corso sia di Kingdom Come Deliverance 1 e 2 che anche all'interno dello stesso Kingdom Come Deliverance.
Sure. So once we'd finished KCD 1, it's almost like we'd said goodbye to the whole project, both Tom and I. I really never thought I'd see those guys again. I never thought I'd come back to Prague. It was like, cheers for the great time, guys. See you later. Best of luck, you know. And I moved on with my life. I quit acting. I went on to become a filmmaker, and then I got this call saying we want you to be a much more significant role in the next one. And so what that was like was a real dream come true, because I always said I'd love to go back to acting if whatever it was in the stars and it was right for me. And what they were basically saying was, you're gonna be like one of the leading characters in this much bigger, much better epic adventure. And I was like, well, that sounds fun. So on day one, well, actually before day one of shooting, they sat us down, Tom and I. We went through the whole story, and I really got a sense of like how important Hans was going to be in the story. And it was just really exciting, a big challenge. And of course, you know, in the first game, you take this young lad who is, you can tell there's more to him than just this bratty noble. But we only scratch the surface with him. But in the second game, of course, we really start to like unpack him and understand him and spend a lot more time with him. And yeah, it was just a joy to have played a character for that long, and then be able to step back into the shoes and really dig further. Yeah, that was the difference. And then in terms of the technical, really the main difference was just that technology. I mean, literally, because it had been so long, technology had moved on. It was easier for the devs to create something more realistic and better visually, and quicker for them. but also the facial recognition had come
Okay.
in, and that wasn't on the first game. So it was literally motion capture on the first
Yeah.
game, and then performance capture on the second game, which are two different things. Because I mean, with the facial capture, I think that's like the whole thing with us, with Tom and I particularly, and a few other actors. They took our face movement and voice, and then you are quite literally putting the person into the game and then putting them in noble clothes or whatever.
Yeah.
And that is quite a unique thing. They don't always do that. And I think it's partly due to why Tom and I have been so recognized for the roles that we played. And I'm really thankful that they did that, because it's enabled me to engage with the fans and the audience in such a like unique way. And so that's what led to me streaming, actually, because people really just associate me with that character in a very kind of insane way, you know. They really do. I mean, yeah, they call me my lord, so there you go.
No. Io ho poi chiesto se avesse qualche aneddoto simpatico da raccontare avvenuto sul set. A quanto pare è una domanda che hanno fatto diverse volte, quindi ha cercato un aneddoto originale, per cui probabilmente se andate a cercare qualche altra intervista fatta da Luke usciranno fuori altri dietro le quinte carini.
We get asked this a lot, and it's really hard to say because every day little things would happen. But so there was one time where, and I've not told this one, where where I was doing the scene with the shit poured on my head at Trotsky, and we did it first time, and everyone was like, nailed it. That was great. You know, I'd spent a lot of time thinking about how I was going to do that, and I thought we'd got it, but we did. But then, you know, we always do it a couple more times. So and look, you don't want to be doing that scene too many times because because you know I'm going really far with the voice, and I'm probably overstraining it, you know, more than I should be, for the sake of, like, you know, because it has to be like, you know, this moment for him is so insane and he can't comprehend it. Like it's just so out of his wheelhouse. Like he cannot believe someone would do this to him, like him of all people. Like, so he had to lose his mind in a kind of really insane way. So I really went for that. We shot it maybe 2 or 3 times, and then I was like packing up my stuff to have a little break, and then someone came into the break room and was like, very sheepishly, Luke, we have to shoot that again. And I was like, oh, you joke, really? I thought we got it. It's in the can. And they were like, yeah, we I'm not going to embarrass who it was, but someone wasn't like recording something at the time. Like, I won't be specific, but someone didn't record something, whether it was, you know, cameras, whatever it was someone messed up. But I won't expose them. But it's an easy mistake to make, and it happens. But I was like, oh man, I thought we nailed that, man. Like, so then we went back and we had to shoot it again. But you know, maybe it was even better. Probably was even better. So it's not a big thing. But it was just because it was such a like over the top, like strenuous scene, where I'm really going for it, and I was like, oh god, I'm gonna do that again. But that was funny.
Maybe this time you added more desperation because you were even more tired to get that imaginary shit on your head.
There you go, yeah. The blessing in disguise.
Un'altra domanda, diciamo, retorica è stata quella inerente al fatto di quanto nella rappresentazione del personaggio di Hans Capon Luke sia rimasto fedele alle direzioni e quanto abbia messo di sé della propria prestazione attoriale. La chiamo domanda retorica perché un attore in quanto tale chiaramente mette parte di sé all'interno del personaggio. 2 attori diversi non interpreteranno lo stesso personaggio allo stesso modo, è il motivo per cui si sceglie un attore piuttosto che un altro. Però ero curiosa di capire quanto effettivamente ci fosse stato un coinvolgimento, quanto ci fosse di Luke all'interno di Hans Capon.
Yeah, I think as an actor you always do add, your own essence to something. So, I mean, that's why they hire you in the first place, really, is that there's something hopefully about you that no one else really has, and that really speaks to that character. So really, I try with every role I play to bring me to it. And with Hans, it always felt quite easy to slip into his shoes because there are elements of me that are quite similar. So, you know, I always say his sense of joy and his ability to kind of like, I've always prided myself to a degree on like trying to cheer people up and remind them, like, you know, not everything's so serious, and you know, enjoy life. And you know, I remember when I used to go out drinking with my buddies back in Sheffield, you know, we used to have like these mad nights and go crazy and drink, and that was when I was a much younger man. And you know, and I kind of saw a lot of that life and the way I lived back then in him. You know, you just want to be this young, silly, you want to go mad, you know, and you do as a young man, you do. And so I brought that to it. But what was nice about the second game was I was able to also not have him as just this surface level, you know, drunk. He's also, there's a lot of depth to him, and a softness and an insecurity, like a lot of insecurity there. You know, I've just watched this documentary actually about this very thing, about the Manosphere with Louis Theroux. I don't know if you've managed to see it yet, but everyone should watch it, because what you essentially have there is a bunch of, it's really interesting, like psychologically, and it's basically pop psychology. What you have is a bunch of insecure men, and in order to deal with their insecurity, they go so far to the extreme. So as far as to demonize the thing that they love, you know, and and that gives them some bizarre and fake sense of security. And you see it there and you go, this is so transparent, you know, but they do it anyway, and they've monetized it. But you know, which entrenches them further into that ideology and that way of thinking, which is a shame. But with Hans, it's kind of there's a lot of that there, you know. There's a way he speaks about women. Of course, it was a different time, right? So you know, they weren't as enlightened as we are today. But
it's a different kind of patriarchy, let's say. But I think that society, we always focus on the problem of women. And of course, women have problem in society, but I think that men, in their different way, they sometimes feel crushed under the societal expectation. And in the case of Hans Capon, he's a noble young lad, and all the world is looking at him, expecting him to be perfect every time, doing all the stuff. And I think that this kind of insecurity is normal for a young man, because he have no experience of the actual world. He was always shielded by other people. So in the second game, let's say, go for the first time in this great adventure, and always out, and he had a lot of trauma. So I think that it's an interesting way to see society of the past, but it's very actual, in my opinion. This topic.
He, like you say, he's a really complex character, and it was a joy to bring, you know, myself to that. And you know, I've talked about this before, but you know, with his family life, you know, not being as conventional as it could have been, and him having all of these expectations on him from the nobility, then being put into all these tests constantly, you know, constantly having to fight and take risks. But I think by the end of the game, he's probably a little bit more mature, probably able to deal with his own emotions a bit better. I mean, that scene with Henry, but where he tells him how he feels about him, that's like real growth. Not, I mean, it's, yes, there's that moment comes because it's in an extreme situation where they feel they're about to die, but also he wouldn't have even been able to do that if he hadn't have grown through the story, through the game, through his life, and been tested and found out what life really is about. I think that in life, we become our best selves when we are put under immense pressure, like a diamond. I really believe that, and I think that people need to kind of remember that life isn't, in my opinion, I don't think life is supposed to be easy. If it was, we'd all be very bored and very boring. And Hans is kind of testament to that. He becomes better. I think he's going to become a better man because of what he's doing.
Yeah, I was impressed with one thing that Hans said. In the moment when you, as the player, play dice with him, I don't know if you remember, and he said something like, today was a bad day, but it doesn't matter, because now I'm going to bed, tomorrow is another day, something like that. And he just lost the playing dice with Henry, but he had such a light attitude, positive attitude, and he appears very wise. And that impressed me a lot, because he said that line with such a casual way, in such a casual way, but it was very deep.
Yeah.
It's a good thought.
It's the kind of revelation that one has once you've grown, once you've learned, once you've been through some real shit.
Yeah.
You only have that, and he says it also, like no one's ever said that to him before.
Yeah.
It's like this huge revelation for him where he's like, you know what? I've realized something, actually, and I've realized it all on my own, in my own mind, and no one else has told me. And I'm coming up with this by myself because of the shit I've been through. He's not just regurgitating something Hanush said to him sometime, right? It's real. It's a real revelation. It's a beautiful thing, and it's true. It's absolutely true.
E si arriva poi alla domanda scottante, che poi in realtà scottante non è, però volevo capire un attimo il punto di vista interno di chi effettivamente ci ha lavorato a questa scena, ovvero cosa ne pensasse lui a livello professionale dell'inserimento della romance omosessuale opzionale, ricordiamo, fra Henry, il protagonista, e Hans Capon, il personaggio interpretato da Luke. Oltre al fatto che non mi sarei mai permessa di chiederlo, ma è stato dichiarato, per lui a quanto pare la romance con Hans Capon è canon.
So when we first sat down and they discussed the whole story with us, Tom wrote notes, I didn't. Classic. He might know better than me if they told us that in that first first session, first like kind of discovery session where we were learning what the story was about. I can't remember whether it was we learned about it there or we learned about it on set later on. It's just been such a long time, I mean, I like to think that if they told us then I'd go, oh wow, but I can't quite remember. But once we did learn about it, I remember how it made me feel. And my reaction to it was like, well, obviously they should do that. I mean, because for me, I was always quite interested in what the fans thought of the game, and I was always reading Reddit and everything. and because I was really
Why?
proud of
Why? Why do you go Reddit? Reddit is a very dark place.
Well, it depends where you go. I mean, the
Mm,
Kingdom Come Reddit it can be lovely
mm,
sometimes. But yeah, no, I mean, I was across everything, to be honest. I've
mm,
always been chronically online, so yeah. But you know, I could tell that a lot of the fans had shipped the characters, and you know, when I spoke to Dan about it, he was like, the fans wanted this. You know, they lobbied for it. I mean, it's obvious, and I don't know if that was something he was always going to do
mm.
and put that in there, or if he responded to the fans' desire for it and put it in. And he's never shared that. I don't. I think that's for him. You know. But the reaction was from Tom. Basically everyone was like, "Yeah, sweet, that's cool," and
Okay.
um, and uh, and yeah, I love that it's like a choice that you can make and it's something you have to earn. You know, these are all good things.
Ma al di là di questo volevo appunto capire meglio come lui vi si fosse approcciato a livello lavorativo, ovvero se fosse stato già a conoscenza della presenza di questa opzione e se quindi la sua intera recitazione fosse stata legata alla possibilità di, a un certo punto, se il giocatore avesse preso determinate scelte, quella svolta nella caratterizzazione di Hans Capon fosse appunto il più organica possibile. E volevo anche capire come lui percepisse l'inserimento di questa opzione, se la percepisse come naturale, come spontanea, oppure come un easter egg, una scelta di fanservice. Io personalmente, e l'ho già detto in un altro video, ritengo che sia una scelta di fanservice, è stata messa per i fan, servizio per i fan letteralmente, ma nella sua accezione positiva. Ne ho già parlato, non voglio ripetere, anche perché siete qui per l'intervista, ma è stato comunque interessante chiedere l'opinione a il diretto interessato.
Yeah, I mean, so I wouldn't call it a fan
Mh,
service choice myself
mh,
because it's so organic and it's for many people that's canon, you know, and that's absolutely fair. Um, for me, it's canon. um, but you know what? You know the reason I don't think it's like a fan service thing is because like throughout the entire process of filming and recording voiceover, you have all these branches and options throughout the whole game. And in order to go down that route, the romance with him, you've got this whole branch of dialogue that I did. And so when I was directed and when I was performing that dialogue, it was like, right, we're starting to go down now like a more intimate route with them now.
mh-mh.
So let's think about that when you're playing this. And then if you choose not to go down that route or you don't even know about it, right? Then you're not gonna. I wouldn't play it a little bit more intimate, a little bit softer, a little bit more.
Mh-mh.
Yeah, I mean, intimate's the best way to say it. So it's essentially like in terms of like, did I put that in there? It's like,
Mh-mh.
yeah, but it was always the branches that the gamer
Okay.
chooses. It's not like I'm forcing it.
Mh-mh.
Like if you're a guy or a girl and you see Hans as like your best mate and you don't want to romance him,
Yeah.
then it would be weird for me to play it like flirty
Mh-mh.
because that's not what they want to do, and that's valid. Like if they don't want to, they don't have to. You don't have to romance
No,
anyone in
no,
the game,
but
right?
you can treat Hans like shit. You can
Oh, yeah.
totally treat Hans
Yeah,
like
that
shit.
people forget that. Yeah,
Yeah,
no, people forget you can also be really,
yeah,
really have a terrible relationship with
yeah.
him, and that can be a choice too, and I always
Mh-mh.
forget that's also an option as well. So that's what I always come back to, is like the choice is
Mh-mh.
there, but it wasn't me, coloring it with the romance or with whatever.
Mh-mh.
It was like the branches. It's like when we do this branch, you're doing it like this, and when we do this branch of dialogue, we're doing it like this,
Okay.
and then it's all down to the gamer, and that's like really key to remember that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, it's the soul of an RPG. Choices.
Yeah,
You can
that's what
choose.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Si è poi passati a discutere sulla sua presente carriera, ovvero il fatto che allo stato attuale 𝚃𝙸𝙼𝙼 si occupi principalmente di streaming e gaming, abbia un po' ripiegato a fare l'influencer barra content creator. E cioè, quindi è stata una lunghissima e piacevolissima, devo dire, digressione sul genere videoludico preferito, cosa gli piace giocare, cosa non gli piace giocare, che tipo di esperienze abbia avuto nel corso della sua vita con i videogiochi, e ovviamente io ho suggerito Resident Evil 5.
You know, uh, then again, it was almost bound to happen with me. Like, I the reason that it happened really is because obviously because of the game. I don't think, if I'm honest, that I would have started streaming if you know if I just like started streaming from scratch and
Mhm,
just built my way up very slowly. I don't know if that would have been for me. I think I'd have carried on as a filmmaker because, to be honest with you, I was really enjoying it, and
mm,
I was doing really well at it, and I was traveling the world, and it was very fulfilling. So it wasn't as if um, I was struggling in any way. I wasn't
mhm,
having a good time with that. But I did see the value in starting streaming, given like the success of the game and the character.
mhm,
And people kind of asked me to do it. I mean,
mm,
they were daily asking me to stream the game, and then once I did, what dawned on me fairly quickly, about maybe 2 months in, was like,
mm,
maybe this could be a job. I mean, let's figure out if I like it very much first, let's figure out if I wanna play other games first,
mhm,
um, and make that into a career, and what by osmosis, by just, gently testing the waters over that year, um, or 9 months of playing the game, I was like, "Yeah, I think so," and also I took a real leap of faith because, I was like, "Well, if I do this, it needs to support my life. I
mm,
need, because I'm gonna be giving up my filmmaking career here. I had a great job." So, I was like, "God, what if I do this and, like, no one watches anymore?" Once I
mm,
finish playing Kingdom Come,
yeah.
which no one watches, and I can't make a living out of it, and I've just, like, given up this job, and that'd be horrendous, wouldn't it?
Eh,
But what I found was that when I made that leap, I have this wonderful community that were like, "No, we're gonna catch you. We've got
mm,
you." And then also with that, with their support, not just their support, but also I was able to get a sponsorship
mhm,
agent, GG Talent Legends, and they sponsor me to play various. They find sponsors, they find studios. So I'm actually playing Crimson Desert this Friday, and I'm sponsored to do that. So that's like really helpful as well. And therefore, we have, with the combined community and the sponsorships and all the other things, like you have, I can do it. I can do it as a career, and it's a dream life. I mean, anybody would say it's a dream life, and it is. And I constantly try and show people how grateful I am for that life. Uh, yeah.
It's a dream life because I believe you are enjoying it, but I
Mm.
know a lot of people that hate video games, so for them, it's not a dream life. But I'm glad it worked for you, and that you are enjoying it. And in fact, you're streaming a variety of game, very different kind of games.
Mm.
So I want to ask you if you have a favorite genre. Favorite genre game?
Whew. Well, it's a good question because
Mm,
I keep changing my mind.
mm,
So, obviously you'd say RPGs because that's
mm.
where it all started. But you know what? I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I just started playing Elden Ring, and that's not
Souls-like.
really an RPG. I mean, it kind of
It's
is.
an action RPG, so they're called Souls-like. They are Souls-like
Yeah,
game.
Souls games, yeah. And I never, ever in a million years
Mm,
thought I'd be sat here saying my favorite games are Souls games. But here we are, and I'm not saying it beats KCD, obviously, and I'm far more impressed with what KCD did.
mm,
Sorry, From Software, but like in terms of the the mechanics of the game and how much it just astounds me, you know, when you how you can really live a life and the world feels alive. Like I'll never get over that. Like Cyberpunk's the same, and you know, games like that, they're just so impressive. But you know, if you want to, you know, spend 8 hours just grinding and beating big bosses and tearing your hair out, like that's also fun, and I'm really enjoying that as well. So I don't know, maybe I'm just my true gamer soul is really coming out. You know, I mean, I started gaming when I was a kid, and then I stopped for years, and now I'm just like I'm unleashing the gamer beast inside of me, and it's kind of a beautiful thing, actually. Yeah.
So let's try from another angle. There is a general game that you don't like.
Yeah. Yeah. What are you asking? Do you know what it is, or am I going to?
There is a genre of game that you actually don't like to play, that you hate.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't like roguelites. I don't like roguelites.
Okay.
I in general, like, that's not to say that if a roguelite game came out, I wouldn't try it. Like, I'll definitely give it a go. But I think it's just quite frustrating to have to start all over again every time you die. You know, it's frustrating enough with Elden Ring dying, but at least you don't lose everything, you know. That stuff, that roguelites really do upset me in that way, because I like the feeling of progress, right? And with roguelites, like you have to start all the way back at the beginning, and I find that quite tedious. So yeah, that's what I would say is my least favorite on the list. But you know,
well, what about the horror genre? In general, there are very different kind of horror games. For example, Silent Hill is very different from Resident Evil. Resident Evil is more slasher. It's more pew pew than Silent Hill, a psychological horror game. Do you ever try the an horror game?
Yeah, 100%. I love games like that. I mean, Resident Evil is a little bit more pew pew, but Requiem, I think it should, depending on, you know, obviously what comes out this year, but it should definitely be nominated for Game of the Year. I thought it was very, very, very good game. It's very special. I had a blast playing Requiem. So yeah.
Do you ever play the fifth game, Resident Evil 5?
No, to get ready for Requiem, I played 4.
You definitely have to try the fifth game.
I'll play all. I'm gonna play all the Resident Evil games. Like 100%. I love them. I love Leon. I love everything about it. I love, and again, it's been another surprise to me, because I really didn't think I would. I was like, looks kind of not my thing. I was wrong. I was just wrong, and one of the things in life I love is being proved wrong about like a very like held belief or something I thought was true. I love finding out I'm wrong. I think, and I wish more people were like that. But yeah, no, I really, really like it. And I also really like walking sims.
It depends. There are some very good walking sims.
Like just a nice story, but you're not being challenged that much. Maybe you got a few puzzles to do, but you're just kind of experiencing a story. I really like those. They're good for streaming. And then I've played like some one-offs, you know, that you can do in like a day, like 6 hours. Like the Mortuary Assistant was. Oh my god. Yeah, funnily enough, I get a lot of my recommendations these days from my partner, who is also a gamer, and she you know, she'll give me all these awesome, really niche games. But like, if you're a true gamer and you've been gaming for a long time, like you'll know what they are, you know, but not the masses, the people that just play GTA. But if you're a true gamer, you'll know these games. And it's been a joy playing some of those, you know, and I'm just like, I'm so lucky to be in this position where people really know their stuff and they can give me these great recommendations. So I basically only play great stuff at the moment. very, very lucky. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very fun to play game and getting paid to do it. I know.
I'm a very lucky boy. I'm very
Yeah.
lucky boy. I don't take it for granted at all.
Is there any particular game that you are looking forward to? You are waiting for?
Well, the obvious is GTA 6. That's
Well,
obvious. We're all excited for that. Game I'm excited to play. Well, there's a new Gears of War coming out. I don't know when. And I used to love Gears of War when I was young, and I haven't played that game since I was a kid. So I'd be really excited to play that.
Okay.
And then there's also a bunch of ones that are kind of a bit obscure and a bit like there's one called Ill that looks good.
Yeah.
That's a horror. That looks really terrifying.
Yeah, definitely.
Kind of Resident Evil-y kind of vibe to it. And then what else? Kingmaker, which is like a fusing of medieval with modern, so you can like drive around in a car, but be in the battlements of a medieval castle. And I'm just like, the chaos of that just looks great. You know?
Yeah, there is another strange hybrid with medieval. I believe it's called Blight something. It's a game with night and zombies. It looks great.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, that's good. Also, genuinely excited for Crimson Desert, even though I'm sponsored. Genuinely, I'm looking forward to that. I'm very lucky to be sponsored for that.
Yeah, I played it in one preview some months ago, and it looks fantastic. It's
good. Okay,
amazing. Un'altra domanda che mi interessava particolarmente era capire quanto peso ci fosse per lui, proprio come personalità ormai online di content creator, nel gestire la figura di Hans Capon. Chiaramente il là è stato dato con il personaggio di Hans Capon, la gente ha iniziato a seguirlo per questo motivo, poi è rimasta, chiaramente, ma quanto il fatto che ad oggi, ok, continuano a chiamarlo My Lord, ma è qualcosa che gli pesa? Questa etichetta che comunque nel bene e nel male non verrà mai rimossa?
That's a really good question. I mean, I think it goes for just what I do in general. That I think when you represent a character in a video game, when you represent a company that you were employed by, when you're a streamer that people believe in and support, you're basically like an ambassador for that thing. You know, you are not that thing, but you are an ambassador for it. And therefore, with that, you have to hold yourself to a certain standard, and you have to behave in a certain way. And so I think in terms of, fandoms and stuff, like it took a little while for me to like understand that and realize that you got to be as you got to be like when I go on stream, like I try and make it like a safe and really nice place to be, because like I am representing something larger than myself, like and the community is, it's more than me, just me. And I think that's really, really important. And you talk about like the weight that character carries, and it's like people really love him, and therefore I need to be like I try and be a better person every day, because I find myself going, right, well, I represent this thing, and I don't want to let anyone down by being by not being the best person that I can be. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I'm a content creator myself, so I understand what you're meaning. In your case, it is even better / worse because you are an actor and you represent also.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of my point, is that because because I'm an actor and a content creator, I did come under quite a lot, especially early last year, or summer last year. I got quite a lot of scrutiny and people digging and looking into my life, and
Yeah, of course.
and I was like, yeah, I mean, fair enough. Okay, that's fair enough. But like, I'm not perfect. Like, and I never said I was.
No one is.
Right? You know, but like, I think people like really, they want to know that some people really want you to be perfect. They want you to be squeaky clean. And I think part of my work is to be honest about who I am and just show people who I am and go, look, you know, I did something 10 years ago. Like I got into this, I got into crypto or whatever. I'm sorry. Like, I'm really sorry. It's life, you know, you can't be perfect. But you got to just try. And I think now I've hopefully reached this good balance where the environment online that I nurture and curate is a really safe place, and people seem pretty happy, and you know, I just want to keep it that way, really, and keep showing up, keep showing people who I am, and hopefully make people proud to support me, you know,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Ultimo, ma non meno importante, io ho domandato se avesse qualche progetto da condividere, qualche piano, qualche obiettivo nel corso della sua carriera, visto che comunque passare da fare principalmente comunque l'attore o comunque dedicarsi a questo tipo di ambiente, traslarlo su internet facendo il lavoro dei giovani, che poi in realtà lui è più giovane di me, ma quello è un altro discorso, ma appunto partire così senza esperienza pregressa può essere un salto nel vuoto. Chiaramente se n'è parlato durante l'intervista, ha avuto un vantaggio all'inizio, perché chiaramente non è partito dal nulla, però è qualcosa che va coltivato, non è una cosa che ok, parto avvantaggiato, sì, Warhorse mi spinge agli stream, ma non basta. Non basta, bisogna sapere coltivare la community per riuscire a restare rilevanti anche nel momento in cui gli streaming su KCD 2 finiscono.
In terms of what's coming up,
Yeah.
not a lot. You know, that what I'm doing right now is I stream,
Mhm.
and I'm trying to make films. I'm gonna hopefully collaborate with a few friends in Prague and make a film,
Okay.
which will be fun. And then also, we do a D&D campaign now, Tom and I, and it's run by 12-sided studios with Jasper Cartwright. And Jasper William Cartwright put together this whole campaign with me and Tom, and it's on Patreon. And Tom and I are immensely proud to be a part of it. And it's now out. Like, you can listen to the first 3 episodes, and with that we've recorded that first season now, so we'll hopefully continue to make more. But the first season is done, and that will like roll out over the next few months. So really proud of that. So we keep doing that. But other than that, I just stream. I'll keep trying to make films. Acting wise, not a lot going on. Like I audition like semi regularly, and I did hope that the game. Yeah, I'm always honest about this, because a lot of actors will not be honest about it, and they'll pretend they've got more going on than they have. I just tell people, because I've got nothing to hide, and I don't see the point. But I really did think that maybe being a leading character in a major game that gets nominated for Game of the Year might lead to another project. You know, I might get a part in another game. Not a single one. Oh wait, sorry, that's not true. That's actually not true. I did get a part in a game called Tavern's Takedown, and that was awesome. So that was really cool. But it was a really minor role, but it was a really fun job. But in terms of like any other projects in like RPGs or anything like that, like no. But I do believe that like time will tell, and
Yeah, never
you
say
just keep,
never.
you just keep your options open, and but until then, like if anything happens, I'm very happy doing what I do,
Okay.
and like what's lovely about what I do now is like people are no longer showing up because I played a character. They're
Yeah.
showing up for me. And honestly, I'm really proud of that more than anything else, because although they may have found me for the game,
Yeah,
like they
exactly.
they they stay because like I am playing different games and I'm trying my best to entertain them like as best I can. So that I'm really proud of that, and that's like I feel like a streamer in my own right now, not just because
Yeah.
I capitalized or took an opportunity. It's like I really, yeah, I've worked really hard and consistently as a streamer. So
Ma in realtà c'è stata l'ultima domanda strana. Faccio sempre l'ultima domanda strana nelle interviste. Questa volta mi sono riciclata la domanda che avevo fatto a Adrien Boucher, perché volevo vedere le differenti reazioni, e gli ho domandato la sua opinione sui serpenti. Sì, io ho flashato Sankaku, ovviamente, di nuovo il mio bellissimo pitone del sangue, sempre arrabbiato, sempre indispettito quando lo tiro fuori dalla tana. Va detto che questa volta si è comportato meglio, è stato più tranquillo rispetto alla prima. Devo dire, Luke non ha particolarmente apprezzato.
I don't love them. I don't love them. I don't love snakes.
You can totally be honest. You can say I hate
No,
them. They are
I
hideous.
I
Okay.
don't like snakes. No, they terrify me. My partner loves them. She actually wanted to get
So
one. And
you
I was
are
like, I'm sorry.
terrified of snakes.
Yeah,
You
I don't
say.
like them. No,
Okay.
I'm
So if I 1 second. For example, this is very small. If
Oh,
I
God.
show you this, are you scared of this little noodle?
He's real.
Yeah, of course.
Oh my God. Oh, he's quite cute, actually.
Okay, so this is cute for you. It's a small.
Yeah, he's not biting you or anything. So.
No. They are totally harmless. They.
Aw.
Okay.
Okay,
So this is fine for you. This
that
is
looks
okay.
fine.
Okay.
Yeah, it's more like the ones that want to bite you and poison you and you die. Those ones scare me.
But if I show you a bigger snake, for example,
Oh my God. How
something
big is
like
the
that.
snake? Oh my Jesus Christ. No, I'm good.
No?
No, that's fine. You keep that. You have fun.
So this is not cute for you.
Massive. Oh my God.
Sei bellissimo. Okay, let me put the beast inside. Okay. It's like 6 kilograms of python. 1 second. You're safe. Okay. We are done. So, look, thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much to participate in this interview. One last thing. Can you say something to the Italian community of KCD?
Yes, I'll be coming to Termoli with Tom and Adrian, actually. I can't remember the dates. Maybe you could put them on the screen, but we'll be coming to Termoli. So if you're Italian and you love the game, please come and see us.
And one surprise for you, I'll be the one hosting the interview of Termoli. Yeah.
You did? Oh, great. Amazing.
Yeah, I'm a guest of Termoli, and the fair asked me to interview the three of you. So we'll see each other in person.
Oh, wait. Awesome. I'll see you there.
Ok, thank you.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Sì, esattamente. Noi ci vedremo al Termoli Comics and Games. Quando questo video sarà uscito sicuramente avrò anche fatto un video sui miei canali per parlarne, sui miei social per parlarne. Comunque montare queste interviste richiede tantissimo tempo, non lo faccio assolutamente da sola perché ci sono i doppi sottotitoli, insomma è un casino. Quindi ci vorrà un bel po'. Tra quando sto registrando questo video e quando uscirà sicuramente ne avrò già parlato, ma a giugno l'intervista continuerà perché sarò io come ospite, ma anche come host sul palco a intervistare i 3 personaggi, i 3 attori che hanno interpretato i 3 personaggi, diciamo, principali di Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Quindi avremo i 2 protagonisti, Tom e Kay, che spero di riuscire a intervistare prima di giugno, vediamo. Quindi altrimenti pazienza. Tom e Kay, Luke Dale, e poi abbiamo il personaggio, diciamo, secondario più importante anche a livello storico di ciò che rappresenta, che è Ian Gishka, che è stato interpretato da Dan Boucher, e trovate già l'intervista, l'ho già fatta, è stata la prima intervista che ho fatto. Se siete interessati trovate anche l'intervista al lead designer di Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, trovate tutti i link nei commenti, l'evidenza, descrizioni, tutti adesivi, insomma. E questo è quanto. Se siete interessati trovate appunto queste altre interviste, anche queste con i doppi sottotitoli italiano e inglese, quindi potete ascoltarlo, leggere, insomma, capire che chi cosa dice quando. E io a questo punto vi chiedo cosa ne pensate, mi raccomando, fatemi fare bella figura, quindi commentate, mettete like, condividete questo video, mettete hype, fatelo arrivare a tutti gli angoli del mondo. Spero che vi sia piaciuto, spero che vi abbia fatto piacere. Alla fine ce l'ho fatta, sono stracontenta, era un'intervista che volevo fare da tantissimo tempo, mi ero quasi rassegnata, ma alla fine ce l'abbiamo fatta. E noi ci vediamo a Termoli, se volete, altrimenti vi ringrazio per l'attenzione e noi ci sentiamo, ci vediamo in un prossimo video.